I told y'all today was going to be a trap day, man. I see it already. Hey, fight the urge to slow down. Hell yeah. Fight the urge to stop. Fight the urge to not be great today, man. Decide who you want to be today. Hell yeah. Be great on me. Be great on 3. 1, 2, 3. Be great.
I was just talking about the Red Blacks. We got Jeremiah Masoli. Dog. Jalen Acklin. Dog. Jackson Bennett. Dog. RJ Harris. Dog. Nate Bahar. Man. Dog. Cleon Lang. Is a dog. Absolutely.
This is going to be a heck of a CFL season. Krukop towards the end zone, laying out for it and bringing it home. Come on, what a play. Tavares Harrison. First play he's made tonight, and it's a beauty. And Krukop has battled back, hasn't he? After Drew Brown got off to a pretty good start to this game and looked like he was edging out Krukop as far as this competition goes. And again, this is very unofficial grading system from Dustin and I.
We just won. We beat our rivalry team, so I'm feeling good about that. I'm happy about that. And I scored a touchdown so to help my team win, so feeling real good about it.
What was that like? Take us through that play.
It was amazing. I mean, Coach came to me before the draft. He was like, if we get Tellis, just run past him. Dakota came up to me, just run past him. Wow, we know you fast, just run. I said, I'm going to just run. I ran this. You see what happened? Touchdown. Go Winnipeg.
Roll the pocket to the right. Simmons will have time. Sets his feet. Lets it go. It's into the end zone. It's hanging. It's intercepted. It is ball game. Red Blacks win in comeback fashion, 23-17. And a fun one to kick off the 2022 CFL preseason.
Here we'll get a look. See.
Tremaine Washington.
Down. Yes, sir.
Wow. What do you think of that, friends? What is up, my friends? And welcome to another edition of the CFL Weekend Review. Again, what's up, my friends from Canada and the United States of America? I'm Mark Perry, your favorite American CFL fan and editor of CFL News Hub. Welcome to another episode of the CFL Weekend Review, a weekly recap of the Canadian Football League. I am your alt football guru. Alt football meaning everything but NFL. You believe the Ottawa Red Blacks won a game. They should be so much better this year. This is it. The final preseason is a weekend of games, and then June 9th, we have the games to begin. So we got a lot of good stuff. We actually could talk about football from now on, not have to talk about the collective and bargaining agreement. We'll go over that. Go into this new streaming deal. There is a catch to it. Kind of disappointed. We'll go into that, plus a whole bunch more. So if you want to be part of the show, email podcast@CFL News Hub with your thoughts, or record an MP3 or video on your phone, and we will play it on next week's show. Or you can leave a voicemail, 888-430-7692, extension 6, to drop us a message on the phone lines. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Audible, Player FM, Amazon Music, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Leave us a review, 5 stars. We'll read it on the show. And you can watch CFL Weekend Review live at 8 p.m. Eastern every Wednesday on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook as well, my friends. Well, now we have 8 days. June 9th, regular season kicks off. We are 8 days from CFL kickoff. And as a reminder, if you would be so obliged, if you want to play fantasy football, you can. Over at News Hub Fantasy. This is our USFL league that's going on right now. And you could kind of get an idea. This is what the CFL league will look like. If you go over to CFL, in the menu system right there, you can check out CFL leagues to be part of. Leagues are forming now. We'll have top players. We got the CFL news on this side. The system is always adding players. See, we added a bunch of new players this week. Players switching teams like Chandler Worthy. And so we've got a whole bunch of updates going on there. So we'll check that out as well. Always keeping the system up to date, but you can join a league. You can do mock drafts, the whole thing. All that's going on now. Over at News Hub Fantasy, you can create your own league as well. Drafts are happening soon, actually this week. So you've got that going on there, my friends. So on this week's show, we'll go through all that stuff, go to your social media stuff. Next week's question of the week, and plus what's up to everybody on the chat room. So, first off, if you're watching this live or you're watching it recorded, make sure if you like football, then subscribe to our channel and smash that like button. Let's get up to 15 likes. We are just about to kick off the CFL season. I know that games are actually going to be on ESPN Plus if you're in the United States. We'll talk about the streaming deal here, player transactions, and so much more. So without further ado, folks, let's just get into the week that was the CFL. We've got games, no more strike talk. Isn't that nice? So the CFL collective bargaining agreement was approved and the season will start on time. It was ratified a couple days later. So in the final hours, the CFL Players Association ratified the latest collective bargaining agreement from the CFL. The approval came within hours of the midnight Thursday deadline set by CFL Commissioner Randy Ambrosie. We have not quite crossed the finish line, but we actually did because has been ratified by the CFL Board of Governors. So that will take place. That took place, and we are good from the CFLPA. Says the Canadian Football League Players Association membership has ratified a memorandum of agreement with the Canadian Football League, and we look forward to the 2022 CFL season. That's from the CFLPA. From the CFL, they said, quote, "We are pleased that players have now ratified a new collective bargaining agreement between the CFL and CFLPA. The CFL's Board of Governors will conduct its ratification vote shortly," of course, which they did, and they approved it. We look forward to a successful season, including preseason games and long and productive partnership with our players. The Canadian Press gives a rundown on the approved, highly talked about ratio rule. The ratio rule is still a bit confusing to me, and it'll be interesting to see how the extra draft picks actually plays out. So according to sources, CFL teams will have 7 Canadian starters and 21 in total on the roster this year. Who cares about the starters? The 21 total is the most important part, but whatever. In the 2023, that number increases to 8, with 1 being a nationalized Canadian and American who has at least spent 5 years in the CFL, or at least 3 with the same team. No one really stays with the same team. So it's really just adding that guy, American, who's been in the CFL for 5 years. I don't have a problem with that. Clubs will also be able to rotate 2 nationalized Canadians, so that's that 5-year deal. For up to 49% of the snaps, teams can move to 3 nationalized Canadians in 2024, but the 2 franchises that play the most Canadians at the end of the season will receive additional second-round draft picks. I believe it's 2. They're giving up 2. So that's how that's going to be tracked. We'll just have to find out. So breakdown of the deal: $1.225 million ratification pay for players. The salary cap increase in 2023 and 2028. CFL minimum salary increases in 2023 and 2027. And the interesting part is that the agreement can be reopened when TSN broadcast agreement expires in 2026. I've said that they need to be on Sportsnet, TSN, and CTV, mainly CTV, being this exclusive to one place. I mean, Sportsnet doesn't give that much love. It's really just TSN. We've seen how that kind of agreement seems great, but it's not, because just ask the USFL and Fox. ESPN doesn't talk about the USFL at all. So they really need to be able to hit all different locations. We will see how that plays out. I don't think they will do that. But getting something on CTV, just re-upping for some extra money for TSN would not be a good thing. Pro Football Network's Aaron Wilson has the full details of the agreement if you want to read through it all. So there you have it. That's basically the gist of it, amongst a bunch of other things. But we have an agreement in place. The season will start on time, thank goodness. The ratio rule. Let us know what you think about the ratio rule in the comments. Do you think it should stay the same and be adjusted? That was kind of the sticking point, but now we can put all that behind us. We can put 3 downs versus 4 downs. We can put strike behind us, and we can just play some football. Let us know what you think about that in the comments.
The one thing that I wanted to get to was the exploration between the XFL and the CFL and how they ended up making a deal with the NFL. Was that something that you guys looked at and wanted to make sure that you kind of crossed all of the T's and dotted all the I's on something like that?
Well, the conversation with the XFL was interesting, to be sure. And in the end, it was always about figuring out, was there an opportunity for both sides? The 1 + 1 = 3.
Right.
And it didn't come to fruition. But there were things that we learned during that process. And certainly we learned just how passionate CFL fans are about our game. In fact, Tim, that actually went into this product review process that we launched this year. Started with perhaps the biggest consumer research study we've ever done. What did fans want? We involved perhaps the most inclusive process. We involved all of our presidents and coaches and GMs in a review. I think this hash marks rule change is going to be really good for our game. But it all started with a conversation: how do we make this the funnest, fastest, most exciting brand of football in the world? And in the end, it was an affirmation that we can do that on our 3-down game and use this gigantic field, which is one of the greatest assets we have, use it to our advantage.
I grew up playing 3-down football. I'm on the record extolling the virtues of 3-down football and the Canadian game and its influence on the American game, and how many things that I think are better rules in the Canadian game. Was there ever in that discussion or in that review the idea that we may have to go to a 4-down game to continue to grow and thrive?
Never a we have to, for sure, definitely not. It was an honest question. If you want to have if you want the game that the brand of football that is the most fun and the fastest and the most entertaining in the world, how do you do that?
Right.
And so you put it all out there, and then we brought a whole group of people together. And in the end, that conversation about 4 downs lasted about 5 minutes. Right. And everything else was, how do we take our game? How do we use this giant palette that is a 65-yard wide field and 110 long and 20-yard end zones, almost 700 square feet more space per player? How do you make sure that you can use that entire canvas to paint a picture? And the energy that our coaches and presidents and GMs and the league office put into that, it was a celebration that we've got the right game at the right time, and we can build a future on it.
All right, so they're from Sportsnet, surprisingly talking about it. Randy Ambrosi opens up about the failed CFL-XFL merger on Tim and Friends. Tim McAuliffe is joined by CFL Commissioner Randy Ambrosi and discusses how the potential CFL-XFL merger in 2021 fell through and how the CFL ran uniquely Canadian game with its current rules. You kind of see there, it's got a little bit of spin, but basically, relax. I think CFL fans are like, there's some, and we'll read some comments, like, just pissed off. I thought Canadians were supposed to be nice and very friendly, but when it comes to the CFL football, there's just a bunch of angry dudes online. But, I mean, you're going to explore all options. You should. He clearly said, even though Rash, made this big deal about, I don't know, he's basically saying we looked at it with the XFL and then that wasn't an option. I've said all along, especially now, it's been a year covering the CFL and understanding the game. And, you can't do 4-down football in the CFL. The Canadian Football League needs to say 3 downs. That's case closed. You grow the game other ways, switching it to 4 downs, because they're now with the USFL and XFL and college football, like, it's just, there's too much out there. And what makes you unique is your 3 downs and give an opportunity to players and stuff like that. Expansion is where I think the CFL needs to focus its energy on, and growing its fan base. But a lot of these sports need to grow their fan base. It's actually, a lot of people honestly should take a look at Fan Control Football with its young, engaged audience is something they, I think all leagues. But I think the talks, anybody who says it was a waste of time, definitely more, you could say more, maybe it was a waste of time for the XFL rather than the CFL. But, with what happening, that it's time to pause and kind of see what's going on with them. They talked for a long time. But for the CFL, I think you got Genius Sports comes out of it. I think there's a renewed energy in the league. There's younger ownership. I think the league is kind of this kind of shook things to its core, get things moving in the right direction. There's revenue sharing. Part of the CBA has talked about opening up their books, which they should. Either you're losing money or you're not. You have one person saying that the teams are making $25 million, and then the other one saying it's lost $1 million. So having that kind of out on the table will help both sides. And I think I feel really good about the direction that the CFL is going. Let us know what you think. But there's Randy on Sportsnet talking about. I just wanted my only question to Andy is why Rash hates you so much. Is what I want to know, because he clearly makes it personal, and Sportsnet people like hate on Randy Ambrosi and the CFL. It's like, I don't know, they're just sucking up or something. But we will find out. And but at the bottom line is they're playing football and Randy's in charge. And I think all systems are go and things are looking good for the CFL coming into this season. So America fans rejoiced when they saw this one. International streaming delivers CFL football to the world, but not for the US, UK, or Canada. That's right. So it's kind of like, yes, this is great. So single game and multi-game packages offered through the 2022 season. Well, this seems exciting, right? You want it. The Canadian Football League and content streaming platform Visac are teaming up to deliver the 2022 season to over 130 countries and territories around the globe. Single game and multi-game packages will include all regular season and postseason games en route to the 109th Grey Cup in Saskatchewan on November 20th. The high-definition international streaming service will feature TSN's world-class production and will reach all territories outside of TSN, RDS, ESPN, and BT Sports coverage in Canada, the UK, Ireland, the US, and all of its territories. The service is not available in Canada, United Kingdom, Ireland, United States, and all its territories, blah, 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 blah. That is the problem, because if you go to the site and you're like, oh, cool, this is great, I'm going to watch this, CFL. I mean, it's $99 US. You can get the regular season. I'm like, cool, I will pay this. Here's my money to give me all the games and all the TSN stuff, even though I have it on Disney ESPN Plus. But then when I try to go to register, unavailable. That is the problem. This is a good thing and a move in the right direction. It's just unfortunate that they just don't allow people to pay for it. But I mean, they have agreements with ESPN and TSN, so that's kind of why. Quote, the CFL is a global game with a worldwide audience, and our continued partnership with Visac will allow the league to build on the incredible momentum of the CFL 2.0 initiative, says Tyler Maziru, Chief Revenue and Marketing Officer of the CFL. From the formation of the International Alliance of Gridiron Football, IAGF, and the addition of global roster spots of our 9 member clubs to the creation of the CFL Global Combine, the CFL Global Draft, this is another important step forward in opening our league to new fans and new possibilities. I'm all for it. We're thrilled to continue our work with the CFL, says Kana Jamil, CEO of Visac. Sports have the most incredible ability to bring people together. We look forward to delivering all the action and excitement of the CFL to help unite fans in the global football community. So all access gets you everything, $99. Why would you? That's in American, but then if you're in America, you can't pay for it. So includes 85 regular season games, postseason games, and the Grey Cup. The regular season pass just gets you 81 regular season games. You can get the team pass, you can get big games, you can get playoffs, or just the Grey Cup. That is the package there. But unfortunately, once again, if the service is not available in Canada, UK, Ireland, the United States, and its territories, unless you use a VPN service. Unless you use a VPN service and pay for that, then you could do it. But we have it on ESPN Plus, so there's really no need to do it anyway. And sorry, CFL, I'd have given you my money, but I'll just stick with ESPN Plus, which is kind of meh anyways.
Now's the time to let them know. To raise your voice and raise your game. Tell them what's in store, who you side with, and how far you'll go. For glory, for your city, for your turn. Let them know that what you're bringing is just the beginning. CFL, let them know.
All right, my friends, you got to let them know. You have to let them know. So the CFL is having a season-long campaign and invites fans and partners to proudly share their CFL passion. So the Canadian Football League and its 9-member clubs have a simple but powerful message for fans, supporters, and partners this season. Let them know. For those flying the league's banner in Halifax, the site of the 2022 edition of the Touchdown Atlantic, to fans across the country's CFL cities, ones in indigenous communities dotting the northern coast, those west on the shores of the Pacific, everyone cheering from the hometowns of the league's Americans players and ones from the league's partnering countries in the alliance, International Alliance of Gridiron Football. Let them know. Quote, after 2 tumultuous years caused by the global pandemic, this is our rallying cry, said CFL Commissioner Randy Ambrosie. Let them know is more than a call to action. It's a show of pride shouted from the rooftops, and it's a challenge to our passionate fans, our world-class players and amazing clubs, and our incredible partners. We're proud of this league, and we know who you are too. The season is our opportunity to don our colors, show that pride, and open our great game to new fans and new possibilities. The season-long campaign was developed in partnership with Toronto-based independent creative energy Trevor Peter, whose past work in Canada includes collaboration with Diageo, Red Bull, Nike, and more. The creative direction was informed and validated by the CFL's work in the global marketing research firm Hot Spec, whose clients include TikTok, RBC, and Under Armour, amongst others. Their in-depth analysis served as the basis for the league's largest and most comprehensive brand audit. Okay, you got a bunch of companies in here. Let's see what the deal is. Okay, we set off to better understand our fans and let them know as the first step towards the culmination of that journey, says Tyler Mazuru, Chief Revenue and Marketing Officer for the CFL. Our research and insight shows a fan base that's fierce in their loyalty and they're ready to roar. Let them know sets the stage for them to be heard. Okay, everything sounds cool. What's the deal? Let's continue. The voice of the campaign will be Edmonton-born, Toronto-based rapper, producer, writer, and poet Candace Weapon, the former poet laureate of Edmonton in 2009 to 2011, and the winner of the 2021 Polaris Music Prize for his album Parallel World, speaks for the generation through incisive, social conscious lyrics while serving as a bridge from the past to the present for CFL fans. My grandfather, my namesake Rolly Miles, was a 3-time Grey Cup champion in the 1950s and is a member of the Canadian Football Hall of Fame, says Candace Weapon, whose real name is Rolly Pemberton. The CFL is in my blood. It's also in my heart as a CFL, as a fan of Canadian football. I know CFL fans, and I've felt the energy in the stands. It's time to come together to proudly wear the passion on our sleeves and let them know. The campaign reach will extend not only through CFL teams and partners' digital channels, but also internationally. The first commercial spot for Let Them Know can be viewed. We looked at that. The Montreal Alouettes will head west to McMahon Stadium to face the Calgary Stampeders on June 9th. Thursday Night Football officially opens this 2022 season. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers will begin their title defense Friday Night Football with the Ottawa Redblacks in town. Saturday doubleheader will be the reigning East Division champions Hamilton Tiger Cats host the Saskatchewan Roughriders before the Elks take on BC Lions to close out Week 1. Super excited about all those games. All roads will stop, but and we played that spot. So what exactly does this mean? Like, what is this? This is great. And let them know. And I'm all for it. And you had all these people in charge of doing stuff for it. Great. But what does that mean? Just wear your shirt and let your fans and friends know about the CFL, which is fine. But I don't know why you needed marketing. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of this kind of marketing stuff. Like, get these marketing people to come in and be like, okay, cool. Well, what does that mean? Do I win something? Do I sign up for something? Like, what is it? And hopefully we'll get more as the season progresses. I just hope this isn't some kind of a marketing thing that they paid a bunch of money to these 2 marketing companies. We see this and then that's it. We'll have to wait. But At the end of the day, my friends, just let them know and wear your stuff proud. I got my Hamilton Tiger Cats hat on. I need more merch. It's just hard to get in the United States, but I'm working on it. I'll add some more merch in my list. So I will proudly share my CFL passion. Will you? So we've had this is from CFL.ca, the cutdown tracker. This was also a couple days ago. So they're tracking all the team's roster moves as the clubs are required to reduce their numbers through training camp. And we can check back for the latest numbers. So we've been tracking this. Some interesting names. The Argos made some noise this past week with the release of quarterback Antonio Pipkin and receiver returner Chandler Worthy. Pipkin spent the 2021 season with Toronto, serving as McLeod Bethel Thompson's backup after the late season departure of Nick Arbuckle. Worthy first joined the Argos in 2017, played for the team in 2019, made some big plays for them in 2021 season. The 29-year-old has 29 catches for 337 yards, 4 touchdowns, along with 65 punt returns for 572 yards and 39 kickoff returns and 800 yards in 16 games. Here's some other names there. You mean some international guys. Those are two of the big there. BC Lions released some players. Nothing too great that jumps out at me. They Ottawa Red Blacks signed defensive lineman Will Keeley. That was kind of some news there. Added to 6 games. Ryan Davis, wide receiver. Blue Bombers cut some guys there. Nothing too crazy. The Stampeders rolled to a 41-6 win Saturday night in their preseason meeting with the BC Lions, but that didn't spare a high-profile receiver from Sunday's news. Jordan Williams-Lambert highlights Calgary's cut. Team signed him as a free agent in February after he'd spent 3 seasons with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I was really surprised by that. Through 24 career games, he has 81 catches, 973 yards, and 4 touchdowns. They got rid of him. Thought that was kind of interesting. Another name out there. That's pretty much all of your kind of names out there right now. But the one that was interesting that we kind of focused on CFL News Hub was Chandler Worthy, because he got cut, but then he was signed by Montreal Alouettes. So the Alouettes have described as having one of the deepest wide receiver rooms in the CFL, with guys like Jake Wenicky, Eugene Lewis, Krishawn Hogan, Kevin Kyler, Reggie Waite Jr., Fabian Guerrera Jr., as well as rookies Tyson Philpott and Forbes Mabalou. Now they can add Chandler Worthy to this group, which I think is a good pickup for them. This is an amazing group from top to bottom. Whether it's CFL National or CFL Global, draft picks are a lineup disposition. With that being said, the Montreal Alouettes don't seem content with the group that they have. Argos made their first cuts, and of course, Mike Mitchell broke all of that down. Again, Pipkin signing with BC Lions, and Chandler Worthy were the two main. When one of these men releases their first round of cuts was Chandler Worthy. Of the 10 men handed their walking paces, it seems Montreal believed he was worthy of a roster spot. 28-year-old veteran wide receiver has signed a deal to join the Montreal Alouettes, knowing he has an uphill battle to make the roster. Worthy originally got his start in professional football with the Houston Texans after going undrafted out of Troy. During his brief playing time in Houston as a rookie, he showed his versatility. He was able to add valuable in the passing game as well as the punt and return game, playing in just 3 games. Ultimately, Texas did not bring him back in 2016. He latched on with the Jets, but only spent time there on the offseason roster. He was released during the final cuts in 2016. After 5 months later, he landed north of the border in Toronto, and he would spend the next 5 years at the Argos, even though they didn't really play in 1.5 of them, kind of thing. Over the next 5 seasons, he would appear in just 3 seasons. In 2019, he played 4 games, catching 1 pass. 2019, he get into a game and was able to develop before the 2019 season. He returned to the field in 2019 to play 3 games. In his stretch, he showed a valuable offensive, being targeted 20 times. He would catch 12 passes, 129 yards, 2 TDs. He seemed to be garnering momentum heading into the 2020 season. That was until you know what. And due to the 2020 season, it proved to be an interesting one for everyone. Worthy was not immune to this effect. In 2021, he returned to the Argos once again. He would gain career highs in games played, receptions, targets, yards after catching and tying his high 2 touchdowns. However, the numbers were paltry at best. He was targeted 24 times, catching 16 passes, 203, and 2 touchdowns. I feel like I might have had him in my fantasy lineups every once in a while, maybe. He also added value as a runner, 4 carries, 32 yards over his 3 seasons. He collects 65 punt returns for 572 yards, along with a long of 37. So, I mean, this definitely has an uphill battle for him. Will he stick and make the cut at the end of the season? But man, the Argos put a lot of time and effort in this guy, and finally he's got a chance to shine. But so not only will he stay with the Alouettes, can he make the roster? The other thing is, what does this say about the Argos and their wide receiving core? That they feel that they don't need him anymore. He's 28, that they have something stacked ready to make a big splash in 2022. We will have to find out. All right, we'll take a commercial break and be right back with your social media stuff right after this. Stay tuned, my friends.
Coming up this week on the Markcast, well, it looks like CFL is back on the menu, boys. We have Jim Mullen, President of Football Canada, on the show, breaking news analysis as Dave Naylor tweeted out the ratification of the CBA from the CFLPA.
If I'm looking at this as a CFL fan, which I am, I'm happy that they're back playing football again. If I look at it from the perspective of being involved in Canadian football, as I am, I'm not necessarily happy with what they've done with the ratio.
Then we have your regularly scheduled programming. We have longtime friend of the show, Daryl Davis, coming on, talking about the CFLPA, why it was necessary to kind of get to this breaking point to get this new deal through.
I think the scary thing is, and I was worried about that right from the start, Reed, is that they're slowly trying to continue pulling Canadians out of play. And I think that's what really terrified the players union, knowing, especially if they do it for 7 years, in 7 years, they're going to take out more players.
And then plenty of USFL content. We are previewing week 7. We have Eric Eager of PFF.
Yeah, I get worried because, the finals are end of June. Like, a player would almost have to stop playing for their USFL team and sign almost immediately to play with an NFL team so if you're trying to be a feeder league, maybe that's not the right thing.
And then I have a great conversation with Cody Main of Establish the Run, all about his thoughts of the USFL season thus far.
I think that they could do so much more to engage and connect with your style of audience that just loves spring football, loves alternate football, and fans like that just want to have a different product to watch. Maybe we're, not as engaged with the NFL or not as engaged with college football, or just want to have a new rooting interest. And then people like me who, are mostly in this for the sports betting, mostly in this for daily fantasy and things like that.
Big week next week, crazy XFL stuff. Should be a good one. Take care.
All right, we are back, my friends. Theodore King says the ratio rule, as collectively bargained, is fine. Both sides agree to it, and it stopped us from having a lockout. I was fine with it. It was like a starter. If you were cutting away like spots for Canadian players, starters means nothing. Does that really seriously mean like one guy coming in the beginning of the game and then you pull him? Who knows the rule? This is going to be fascinating to see how they figure all this stuff out at the end of the season. Who gets the draft picks? Maybe they'll just who has been nicer to Randy. That's how they figure out who gets the draft picks, because that is thoroughly confusing for me. I'm glad I don't have to track that. All right. Make sure, again, if you like football, then subscribe to this channel, smash that like button, spread the word about the CFL. Look, there is people not doing this kind of this content. Grassroots content like XFL News Hub, USFL News Hub, CFL News Hub is important. This is the lifeblood. This is what brings in the fans. You have your major news organizations. They cover everything, and people kind of check those out. But it's this kind of grassroots is what it's been called. Thing that we do at XFL, at the News Hub Publishing, our empire of websites. This is important. So if you help us out and help your own league out by smashing the like button and subscribing to the channel to get the word out. We're the only live CFL show that I know of. I'm just putting it out there as well. All right, let's get to some of your social media stuff. Get you on your way. Mitochondritis forces Connor Magoo into CFL retirement. Tough break for a young, talented athlete. From Michael. I wonder Oh, yeah, if it was from you know what, that I don't know, but that has been talked about. But I believe when I read the article that there was that was not the case, or that was I feel like it was brought up somewhere, but I don't know. I'm not going to get into conspiracy theories. Always, CFL News Hub is always looking for writers. We're always looking for people interested in specific covering a specific team of their choosing during the season. This is a paid position. We pay you for your time. It's pizza money, and it's all good there. Aaron says, if I had access to watch CFL games in the States again, I would love. I love the CFL. We can reply ESPN Plus, my friend. And we got some other people things. Somebody said in there, feels like a scam, Dalton. No, it's not a scam. And Todd says, looking for people with bad takes on CFL related issues. Again, angry CFL fan. We need to nickname the angry CFL fan. There's lots of them, which is really weird. I was kind of surprised by that. Our main man, Matt Lyons, reporting about the European League of Football. How can I watch those games? And Cam says USFL talk has totally died, not putting the CFL out of biz. LOL. Not yet, Cam, not yet when it comes to that kind of stuff. Remember, Liam Dobson wanted to play in the USFL and could not, and that's why he's playing with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, I believe. So this USFL, this is the first year of the USFL and the XFL coming back. This is something that the CFL is going to have to keep its eye on. If these leagues can make it to 2 or 3 years, that could pose a problem. But right this second, if you thought that the USFL appearing would destroy the CFL, you clearly are smoking something, brah, because that's not going to happen. How can I watch those ELF games? You just go to the ELF website, European League of Football. They have a link where you can sign up, and you had to pay, but you can watch those games. They added a bunch of new teams this year, so it should be good as well. On to the YouTube. Theodore says roster size would still be the same. No jobs would be lost. And he said, this was from last week, said the CFLPA is wrong. They should accept the deal. They did. And it is over and done with. Thank goodness. On to the Twitter. We got some interesting Twitter ones here. Hold on a second. We got audio on this one.
And preseason. What's up, familia? Life can be simple. Quesadillas, rice and beans, and preseason CFL football on a Tuesday. Peace, familia.
Yes.
What's up, familia?
Life is good. Lion Cuban checking in on the Twitter, talking about having some fun with some. It's true. I wish I could have watched it because we could not watch it in the United States. This first weekend of games, preseason games, we can't. Supposedly, it's on ESPN Plus for this weekend. And then, of course, the regular season will kick off. I haven't got an official thing from the ESPN CFL stuff just yet. They usually have some kind of announcement before the season kicks off, but I didn't hear anything yet when it comes to that. We got this one from our man Daryl. Sent us this YouTube video or a Twitter video.
Hey fellas, it's Quandale Dingle here.
This is a message to Quandale Dingle. Better be good at running.
Hey fellas.
All right. Good video there. Thanks, Daryl, for checking in. As always, Randy Ambrosi was talking about collectively our team lose between 10 to 20 million a season. That's what Randy Ambrosi says. El Palmo 68 says they need to partner with NFL, otherwise it's not long-term survival is not guaranteed. I don't think they need to partner with the NFL, though it would be fascinating if they partnered with something with the XFL, kind of allowing players, but I don't even think that would work because the XFL would be playing during, when would they be done, and XFL players being shared with the CFL or having some kind of agreement, but they're playing two different rules. Maybe they work on global players together. it would be very cool, and it'll be interesting to see. I mean, clearly that, the XFL partnering with the NFL is a big get, even though it's not a massive, it's not like the games are on NFL Network. I mean, I would love to see CFL games on the NFL Network. I don't think they would allow that either. But the NFL Network has nothing going on right now. Could you imagine the NFL Network talking about the CFL? Could they partner with maybe some kind of global thing with the XFL in the future? I think would help. My biggest thing with the CFL, as far as the business side goes, is expansion and getting on CTV and not being stuck with just TSN. If you can break that up and at least just get CTV and TSN, that's great. Just the game of the week, one game on regular broadcast television would be huge. Playoffs all on regular broadcast television. And then if you could get all three, that is a home run, and maybe a streaming deal here and there, or doing something different with ESPN. Who knows? But there's definitely room to grow. And what we learned from the USFL is that, more eyes on the product, the better. And you get a lot of eyes just by being on broadcast television versus a sports network. That's for dang sure. Dave Naylor, of course, talked about Antonio Pipkin's release from the Argos. Didn't cost him in the pocketbook. In fact, it got him a 30% raise from the BC Lions. Football is funny sometimes, all about timing. We'll see if he stays on the team. I would assume he would, but you never know in the CFL. I mean, usually when a guy is cut, and then people make this big deal, it's like, oh, Todd, the NFL example is like, oh, Todd Gurley got cut and he got signed by the, whatever, it was like Atlanta Falcons. It's like, dude, it's because he's not good anymore. That's why. We'll see what happened with Pipkin. Dave checking in talking about the board of directors ratifying the new CBA, says the agreement was a no-brainer for the owners. However, they should have allowed enough room in the salary cap for a third quarterback for each team. 2-quarterback rule could come back to bite them and lead to some embarrassing situations. Interesting. There. Talking about the Brandon Langley suspension. The One True King says, good that the airline employee was fired and probably should have been arrested. But at the same time, we have no idea what led up to the incident other than we hear Langley was using a wheelchair to move luggage and wouldn't give it up when asked. Annoying, granted, but not worthy of getting in the guy's face. Again, all speculation. Who really knows what took place? Very, very true there, my friend. Dave also says about the strike deadline. This is from last week. The players would likely vote down the CFL's later proposal, talking about the ratio and all that stuff. CP says about the XFL and USFL, is there enough talent to support all these leagues plus the CFL? He said, last year prior to the USFL, the third spring startup league in 4 years, the CFL was already showing that the talent level had severely dropped. If a Florida player can play in Orlando or Birmingham, even for less money, why would they even consider going to Regina? Do they even know where Regina is? It's a good point. It is a good point. We will see, though. I mean, some of these leagues, they don't have a union. Again, it is too early to tell, but it's definitely something to keep in the back of our minds, how that impacts the CFL. But for now, and I think there's, remember, one of the arguments about there's not enough good players to go around. Look at college football. Are you telling me those college football games are, entertaining? Division III college football games aren't interesting, or Division I, like the lower level Division I games aren't interesting? Do you think, every single player on Alabama plays in the NFL as a starter in the NFL? You know what I mean? I think there is plenty of players out there. Just because I can pull the example of college football and Division I, Division II. So I think leagues need to get creative of where they pull players from, pulling them from international, Division II, Division III, and giving these guys a shot will certainly, help things. But I think, what the CFL needs is a homegrown superstar to really sell some tickets. Like, you need that Tom Brady guy. If the league could find one this year, that would be huge for them as well. Remember, too, you can sign up for CFL Fantasy Football just by heading over to News Hub Fantasy. that's in the show notes. And here's just an example of what a league looks like. This is a CFL league. We'll start up a league, and I'll let you guys, if you're interested in joining a CFL fantasy football league with yours truly, shoot me an email, podcast@cflnewshub.com, and we will get you signed up for a league. So if you want to join a league with me, maybe the league champion will give away a prize, maybe some CFL merch, perhaps, for the winner of our CFL Fantasy League. I think it'll be a lot of fun. So to do that, just leave me an email, shoot me an email, podcast@CFL News Hub. If you want to be part of a league, there's only 6 spots available. So we'll do that. But if you just want to leave me a message anyway, podcast@CFL News Hub with your thoughts, or record an MP3 or video on your phone. We'll play it on next week's show. Leave a voicemail, 888-430-7692, extension 3. We appreciate that. And leave us a review on Apple Podcasts on every program. And watch us live, CFL Weekend Review, live at 8 p.m. Eastern every Wednesday on this week's. That's what you got to do there. And remember, question of the week for next week. I want to hear you. Just email us, call us. Who is winning the Grey Cup next year? This year, I'm sorry. Who is winning the Grey Cup? We want to know your thoughts on that as well, my friends. All right, that's it for me, folks. God bless as always. God is good. God has been good to me. We appreciate you guys stopping by and checking out the show. Enjoy the preseason games. We'll get more cuts, more roster changes. We'll have all those on our CFL, on News Hub Fantasy, to keep you updated as the season goes along. So that's it for me, folks. God bless, and I will see you all later.